Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle comic review of the Beano comic, issue number 385, and from December the 3rd, 1949. So it's quite an old issue, and you can see it's slightly, not as wide as the 1950s issues, weirdly, as well as the 1969 ones, which I've got here as well. So let's just run through the comic. Now, it's fairly thin, it's 12 pages, and you've got a little, or I should say, Big Ego, a little logo in the corner, but weirdly, Big Ego was obviously a major character back in the 40s, just didn't appear in the issue at all, unless there's some pages missing from this, who knows. However, of course, you've got Biffo the bear on the front cover. The artwork is absolutely brilliant, first rate. Obviously, Biffo's slightly different from the way that I recall Biffo, but it's still, you've got the invisible giant as well. Brand new story, today is back again. And you've got the next story, which is actually near enough like an old newspaper strip you get in the States. You've got like just two rows, very unusual. Have a go, hero in a haunted house, Joe's brave as a mouse. And you've got let me get out of here, as he says there, Max's taxi. And he unfortunately never actually seems to say, and I certainly can't see, it might be on there, the artist's name. They never put the artist or the writer, in fact. It's just literally, that's it, that's all you get. So who knows. I'm certain there are people that know who the artists were. Now, I'm just creasing this issue like nobody's business. It is slightly torn as well. And also you've got the magic lollipops. Suck 'em and see. Yeah. Mustard. Well, that's it. Perhaps one of my magic lollipops will warm me up a bit. Mustard. This one has no mustard on it. I'll have another go. It turns into a snake at that point. So you've got a weird, looks like a pound sign actually, back in the day. Now this was only talk about that money, 2 old pennies this was. So you've got Ding Dong Bell, which is actually, it's got the story there. You've got obviously an interesting little story there. And then you've got a little story at the bottom as well. Obviously they've continued on, just put the bottom. Very strange. And then you go on to the next page, which is a text story. Of course, lots of the old comics back in the 1940s, 1950s had lots of these sort of text stories. They don't really do that sort of thing now. Of course, we don't even have comics nowadays, mainly. We have Beano, of course. Beano is still going, etc. But there's very few. Obviously, 2000 AD, a few others. Commando. Not compared with the golden age of like 1960s, 1970s. So you've got the invisible giant there. And then you've got Smarty Smokem. I'm not even going to go into that story. However, the horse that Jack built, this is actually very similar to stories that came later. It's sort of obviously a kid that's got some sort of ability to create all various things and devices, and he's walking along like Stiltman sort of thing. You got there, but you got the story. You got no word balloons or anything. You've just got obviously got the text there underneath. A strange steed with long, but you of course got word balloons and the rest. So I'm surprised they didn't go for why when one was just wordless and then the other one thing. But it's a sort of Robin Hood period sort of storyline. Cruel huntsman. Then you got another. Obviously, this one is Sandy's Magic Bagpipes. Now, I'm not certain what was magic about. The Wild McPhersons meets Bonnie Prince Charlie. That's what they think. Deadeye fires his gun. They always put that sort of like along the top, which is always quite nice, I think. Now, this one, again, doesn't put the name of the artist, or the writer, I should say. So it's very odd. That doesn't sound too bad. Fiery Highlanders charge down the hill to join in the battle, etc., etc. Little Deadeye Dick. Dick's 6-shooter stops a scooter. Got the storyline there. The scooter there. That boy's taking my scooter. I'll scooter him, the big, etc. And then you've got another story that's sort of, actually a sort of comic book superhero story. This one, Jack Flash. No resemblance, I'm certain, to Flash, but this one is a flying fisherman. Yeah, no flying fish is quicker than Jack Flash. Well, I'm certain. However, you've got obviously got a nice little flash, obviously the logo across his chest there, and it's well, obviously rescues someone from a plane, which happens to have snakes on it. That's weird. There was a snake story earlier. Maybe snakes were popular back in 1949. How very odd. But anyway, you've got no word balloons, but you've just got the panels. I think I quite like that style in many ways, because of course you can near enough ignore it and just make the story up yourself. If you've got no word balloons there, of course you can just, whatever story, just ignore what the text says and just put your own story into it. However, next week, Jack's on the big game trail. See him pull a tiger's tail, apparently. Now, you got Pansy Potter. Got Pansy Potter there in Wonderland, no less. Now, I think Pansy Potter, yeah, I was going to say Pansy Potter. This one's a 1950-51 period, so Pansy Potter was still in at that point. Just looking at Pansy Potter. Oh, you got Dennis the Menace on the back by that point. But you got Minnie the Minx, Jumbo, Pup Parade, Lord Snooty, Bash Street Kids, Q Carts, Roger the Dodger. But yeah, unusual. I must admit, it's just great looking at these old comics. Fascinating. So a lot of the comics back then, of course, were mainly all text stories. So this one is quite slightly unusual, I think, with having all the comic strips as well. But it's pretty good. Printed and published in Great Britain by D C Thomson, no less, it says there. So that's it, run through of Beano comic 1949. Now I picked this one up at obviously eBay, and really glad. I've been looking for something like this for quite a while. It's nice to get old copies of some comics. I wouldn't say I've got huge amounts of old UK comics, but I like to pick up the occasional issue, and this one, Beano, yeah, interesting sort of story. I wouldn't say the stories are amazing, but it's still quite decent. So Beano comic issue 1949.